It's Friday night, and at the end of a 3-game week-ish, can Town keep the momentum going in the Matt Holland derby? This is the Blue Monday podcast. Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast, discussing Ipswich Town up or down since 2015. I'm Rich Woodard, and you're listening to the Prematch show, brought to you in partnership with our friends at the Greyhound Pub in Ipswich. We're available every week on YouTube video and podcast audio, and we are live, so we want to hear from you. We see you in the comments. We want to hear from you. We want predictions. We want lineups. We want anything else that you want to chat about, all things Ipswich Town. And joining me with his expert eyes cast on Charlton, Seb Brown. He's shaking his head. Come on, give yourself a boost, mate.
I've had an easy week, to be fair. I must take my hat off and doff my cap to FPL Tractor, who I think is his partner. He's a Charlton fan, and last year he got in touch and said, "Do you want a bit of help with the Charlton research?" And I jumped on it and said, "Yeah, that'd be amazing." And he very kindly offered. He very kindly offered this season as well. So a huge thank you to FPL Tractor. My workload was pretty much half this week, so it was quite nice.
Oh, so
So if it's right, I researched that part. If it's wrong, everyone blame FPL Tractor, who is in the comments. So
hashtag blame FPL Tractor. Yeah, we'll say good evening to Charlie, evening to Michael. Good morning from a muggy Brisbane. 22 degrees at 5 a.m. Low 30s today for you. Crowded around a heater in the UK. It's warm. It's weirdly warm here.
Even up north, it's muggy. Yeah, it's like 15 degrees. I'm in a t-shirt and shorts. It's weird.
Crazy. And there you go. Charlie D saying exactly that. Evening to FPL Tractor. There he is. He has announced his presence. Feel free, FPL Tractor, to correct Seb as we go. If he veers off course, we're relying on you. Evening to Mullet. Good to have you with us. Our friend from Port Vale. MW, evening to you. Evening to Tim. Good to have you with us. Gary as well. Evening to you. Jules is back. Evening, Rich, Seb, and everyone up at FPL. That's what we want. And hashtag blame. Oh, this is just a blame game tonight. Come on, folks. Take some responsibility. That's what we want. Talking of taking responsibility, Seb, I have no idea where I'm going with the segue, but it seemed to go quite well when I said it. I took responsibility to write the intro. I'm going nowhere with this. I have no idea. Go with it. The Matt Holland derby.
I was wondering who you're gonna go for, because there are so many players.
Well, that's where I was going to go to next. So, what would you describe this as? The Scott Fraser derby, surely, isn't it? Yeah, he's on co-coms.
He is,
isn't he?
Yeah.
So keep a look out for some Danny Haynes match footage on the official feeds. I've helped them out there with some bits and pieces there, so that should be exciting. Danny Haynes, Herman Haridason, Darren Bent, Darren Ambrose,
Marcus Bent.
There you go. Any others, get him in the comments. We mentioned Scott Fraser. We'll talk more about him. Anyone who's listened to this podcast for a while, for a year or so, at least will know that, it's Scott Fraser. I've got some, I was going to say some guy love for Scott Fraser, but I admire him. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, if you've got any other Charlton Ipswich players in there, Matt Holland, I think, is probably the most notable. Captain both, didn't he? So, and we always need to, Kevin Nisbey, there's another one. That's just come off the top of my head as well. Yeah. There was that period, Seb, where that we had a good rivalry with Charlton, didn't we? One playoff game, wasn't it?
We were kind of both the poster boys, weren't we, so to speak? We were the well-run
clubs.
Yeah, who, did the right things and sold players to invest and develop players and sold them on, and both got ourselves into the Premier League. And we were kind of the poster boys for sustainability and the model of how things should be done. We had, both had kind of responsible chairmen that backed their owners heavily and were loyal to them no matter what was going on. And yeah, well, I guess us with Evans and then with their previous owners, that's completely changed now. We both find ourselves in a league we shouldn't really be in. Let's be honest.
The third division, as Harry from Bath always used to say. One of the most profound bits of, Harry made quite a lot of profound comments, but owners relegate clubs is really up there, isn't it? Mullet's got one for us there. Mark Fish, I missed that one. The Mark Fish derby, half a game of football for us, isn't it? But anyway, even into Marty, all ready for beers on the train to London. Yeah, you and a lot of other Town fans will be enjoying that one. Craig's with us. Ciao, Craig from Rome. Are you still in Rome, or are you in an airport somewhere, Craig? I think
Jet
you're
setter.
jetting back for it. I think he's jetting back for the game, isn't it? So
Yeah, he's going, I think, yeah.
we've got the Bents from FBL Tractor. Michael Warner is this the Kirbishley?
That's what you should have done.
He's
The,
moving into Woodbridge,
the house
Michael. That was
bridge. Yeah, you missed a trick there.
And there you go. Mark Fish came from Charlton. Kevin Nisby and Sully is with us as well. Evening to Sully. I can't make any commitments on behalf of our colleague Harry, but hopefully, you never know, one day. Let's go through the news, Seb. We can draw people's attention, as we mentioned very briefly, to the midweek show with Mikey, Dave, and your good self, talking mostly about Port Vale. I very much enjoyed driving back from work in the Midlands to that one. And yeah, I think, as you guys said, it was a kind of game which we probably would have folded in previous years. So good to come away with the points. And that pitch, yeah, Mikey really struggled to articulate what I had said, which was basically you could rotate the pitch 90 degrees and it would still fit. That was where I was at. But we'll talk about Ipswich, obviously, as our form and going into the Charlton game, Port Vale, the effect it has. Are you slightly wary that that big pitch might have dragged, we might have been a bit knackered after Tuesday night?
Reduce the energy levels. Yeah, potentially. I mean, we are kind of not down to the bare bones. We've obviously got a very, very talented squad, but I think McKenna's kind of almost hinted at it today that he's looking forward to a week of training, and I guess we've now got a bit of a chance with the Bracknell game being 9 days later to get some people back on the grass. Kamara's played an under-21 game either today, didn't he? I don't know how long he played in the game for. So he's building up a bit of fitness. Burgess, obviously, but he did kind of say, didn't he? We've kind of got people like Burgess and Kamara back earlier than we would have liked. So the squad is kind of, looking a little bit thin in certain areas, which sounds crazy given the talent we've got at our disposal. But that was a big old pitch, and it was a tough game, wasn't it? On Tuesday night, at the end of it, several players looked absolutely out on their feet, and several players had to play that haven't featured a lot recently, like Dominic Ball. So he's got to, look to go again after a 3-4 day kind of break. So yeah, hopefully we can get ourselves across the line this one. McKenna doing what McKenna does. I'm sure there'll be some rotation, which will probably catch us all out of the blue. Obviously, we've got players that will probably come in unexpectedly, and that will help with the fitness issues. But then we can have this bit of a break, can't we? We've had this crazy October. Was it seven games, I think? And so far we're on track, I think, to win 6. And we've won 5. We've lost the one, obviously, to Lincoln. But if we can finish tomorrow off with a bang, then we've only got 2 games, haven't we, in November? It's Cheltenham at home, the live show game, and Exeter away.
Tell us about that, so very briefly.
After the
Cheltenham game?
Portman Road, the Sir Bobby Robson suite. Get yourselves down there, 7:30 for an 8 p.m. start till about 10 o'clock at night. We've got some quizzes, we've got some special guests lined up, we've got some surprises. Ticket sales are going well. We had a spike at the start, and they've remained solid. So get yourselves to Blue Monday, ITFC.co.uk for all the details, and pick up your tickets there. And hopefully see as many of you as we can for some beers and some general ITFC chat.
Thanks.
Yeah, but we've got these 2 easy-ish, hopefully, kind of games coming in November. So one last big hurrah tomorrow, hopefully, and then we can look to get some of the walking wounded back.
Yeah, it was an interesting point from Michael here. He observed the point about players having cramp and so on. I do quite like the idea that it was dark arts, Michael. I thought Leif Davis was doing some really excellent S-housery, particularly they were throwing the ball back to us, weren't they, for throw-ins, and I think it was him who let the ball hit him, and then a little bit of panto around that. I quite like that idea, Michael. I hope that's the case, but it was a bit of a slog. So we'll see. We'll see how it manifests in the lineups for tomorrow, and Morsey will come straight back in. That's useful for us, isn't it? So yeah, it will be who else features there. In terms of the midfield situation, Seb, give us your reaction to the news that Lee Evans is out for a period of weeks, is the official quote, isn't it?
Yeah, frustrating, isn't it? I think a few of us kind of feared the worst when he went off, and it was worrying because the one he got last year, I can't remember who it was against, but that was kind of a bit innocuous as well, if I remember correctly. He kind of went off February time, and we didn't see him for the rest of the season. This one sounds like it's not as bad. I think is it medial ligament damage to his knee. So McKenna's come out and said he'll have a brace for a few weeks, and obviously he'll look to come back into it. But he's now going to be out till, I'd imagine, till probably the new year. By the time he's got some under 21s games under his belt and gets back to full fitness, and it's a shame because he's been playing so well. If you had a Player of the Season vote tomorrow, he's probably going to be in the top 2, 3, I would suggest. We all kind of figured it would be Dominic Ball and Sam Morsey in the summer doing the destructive and the box to box and the energy from midfield. But his range of passing has proved a really, really useful weapon in this first third of the season. So it is a big, big blow, but that's why you have a squad. And Dominic Ball has now got his chance to kind of show what he can do. He'll now get a run for the next 6-8 weeks maybe, and hopefully he can use that championship experience. I mean, what a player we're bringing in. No disrespect, but in the past last year, we're lining up with Tyreek Backinson and Tom Carroll in central midfield. Now Lee Evans drops out and we can bring in someone like Dominic Ball, who's played a high level in the championship. So a great deputy to come in, and it's up to him now to make the shirt his own. But it is a shame for Evans and a shame for the side, because he was playing really well on that big switch. That range of passing out to the wingers and the fullbacks was such a great weapon.
Yeah, I had a chat with Gab Sutton a few weeks back and described Evans as the most underrated player in League One right now. So there's high praise for him right there from yours truly. But yeah,
that probably means the world to him, to be fair. More
than
any kind of Player of the Month award.
I think he might have written that down and put it on his wall somewhere.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Not my words, the words of Richard Woodward.
I must remember to thank him. Michael, with Evans out, Wolfie will have to step up and out with the big crossfield ball. Yeah, it is a useful weapon, as you say there, Seb, and Michael as well. So it'll be interesting to see how we deal with that. But great to have Cameron Humphreys as kind of the third choice now as well. So, Jules, we will come back to your point when we finished talking about Charlton, but it feels like Morsey will be the first name on the team sheet, at least in midfield. And then we'll debate who goes with him. But we want to hear from you guys as well. So get your thoughts in the chat as well. We will definitely come back to that one. And as Charlie said, much better at those dark arts now. It was really great to see Christian Walton taking so long with his goal kicks. As a member of the North Stand lower, so many weeks I get frustrated with that kind of stuff. So yeah, Charlie, very much agree with you there.
Becoming a bit more streetwise, aren't we? We've said it for years, haven't we? We have a soft underbelly and we're not streetwise, and hopefully now we're starting to see that change a little bit.
And it's David, great to have you with us, and Mark as well. Have we got any quotes from Mark that we can lob in? You were quoting him left, right, and centre in the midweek show. I think it was Mikey. So any wisdom from Mark Bet that we can glean from the Telegram group, we'll try and get that in there, Mark. But great to have you with us. In terms of other bits and pieces of news, there is something about Tom Brady which I don't really understand, and I look at Seb and that's the kind of face that I usually see when I ask
probably
Seb
one
a question.
Joe's an NFL. Thanks, mate. Joe's an NFL fan. Maybe he can elaborate.
Yeah, so I think we'll save that one until Sunday.
Or if you know in the chat, by all means, if you're an NFL fan in the chat, please explain it to us simple folk who don't really understand what it is. Yeah,
NFL just as we've tried really hard. I remember you and I tried to watch the Super Bowl a few times, and I just can't get into it. So if you're an NFL fan in the chat, let us know, enlighten us a little bit. Here's Mullet with his expert opinion, flogging supplements and diet plans. There you go. I'm sure it's about fitness and all that kind of stuff, but a great thing. And I think we're the first football club to link up with him. So yeah, the guys will talk about that with more expertness. Is that a word? Expertness, whatever.
More professionalism.
Yeah, definitely more professionalism than right now. So we'll come back to that on Sunday. And finally, a sad bit of news. The club announced the passing of supporters club chairman Martin Swallow earlier on. So everyone, I'm sure, listening and watching, and obviously all of our pod team as well, send our condolences to his family, and obviously anyone who commits their spare time to try and improve the life of supporters at Ipswich Town. Definitely, is someone that we need to cherish, and we need to thank him for all of his years of hard work. So our condolences to his family, and everyone sends their best wishes to his family. Let's move on to Charlton, Seb. And everything was going quite well for Charlton. There was a nice little upward trajectory. That's one of my favourite words a few weeks back. And then along came Milton Keynes midweek and surprised everything. But remind everyone where Charlton find themselves. apart from in the 3rd division with us.
Yeah, currently find themselves 8th in the league with 22 points. Played 16, won 5, drawn 7, lost 4, scored 23 goals and conceded 19. They're in decent form recently. Tuesday night, kind of aside, they've. Oh, thank you, David. As
Thank you,
always, you're
David.
an absolute star.
What a
Thank you.
legend. Thank you.
Of the last 5 games, won 3, drawn 1, and lost 1. Obviously, the 1-0, the 2-0 defeat on Tuesday night was the game they've lost. They are very strong at the Valley up until Tuesday night. That was their first defeat so far of the season. They've taken 15 points from the 8 games they've played at the Valley so far. They've won 4 of them, drawn 3, and lost that one against MK on Tuesday. They've scored 16 goals in the 8 games, averaging 2 goals a game at home, and only conceded 8, so averaging obviously 1 goal conceded at home. However, they are pretty poor away from home, which is why they find themselves, currently in 8th. They've only got 7 points from the 8 games and only 1 win with 7 goals scored on the road. So their kind of success is very much built on this home form at the Valley, which up until Tuesday night was pretty imperious.
Yeah, here's Mark. MK winning with a penalty that was outside the box, and
that was really blatant. It was really blatant though, that penalty. I mean, it wasn't even like it was close. I saw Garner's the manager. I saw his comments about it earlier, so I had a look at it, and yeah, I thought that was really obvious. It seemed a really bad error to me, but yeah.
We need VAR. I mean, we need, like, League One, the professional league should have goal line technology at the very least. The fact we don't have goal line technology is something that really winds me up. But yeah,
well, we had it in the Championship, didn't we? Because our floodlights are good enough. But I guess even though we can have it, I'm guessing it has to be universal throughout the whole league. Hence why we can't have it, because a load of grounds have tin pot lights.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. A lot of people helping out with Craig has mentioned that we'll sort out Tom Brady stuff, but Charlie's a personal trainer. Charlie, I think we need to get your number, and maybe you can give us a discounted amount, because there's definitely some lockdown timber that's not been shifted by me. So it won't be groundbreaking, he says, but will be good for club exposure and may have some minimal benefits to strength and conditioning of players. There you go. Okay. So thank
Marginal
you for
gains.
that, Charlie. Yeah, it's all about they all add up, Seb. They all add up. But yeah, to Mark's point, I think MK were okay at last on Tuesday. I don't think it was a kind of a smash and grab. I wonder whether there was I did watch the highlights, and I think MK hit the bar, had quite a few chances, mainly from around the edge of the penalty area. I think Mo Asa came back for them as well, so that maybe gave them a boost. But it might have been one of those, similar to Lincoln, Seb, where maybe we go into the game with a little bit of complacency. It's in towards, MK certainly nearer the bottom of the league than Lincoln were, but maybe home advantage, you kind of think, well, we just have to turn up. And maybe that was a little bit of complacency creeped in, but that'll have been chocked out of their system, won't it? So it'll be a tough one. Talk to us about, remind us about last season of the Valley.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was the lowest point of last season for me. That
I'm not sure.
When was worse?
So I think the game was crap, but the legacy of that game was Wolfenden back in the team and that 3 at the back system that McKenna inherited from John McGreal. So
he didn't play that night though. He played it the Sunderland game, the one after.
Did he not play Wolfenden?
I think he played Wolfenden, but he didn't switch to the back 3 until the Sunderland game. Did he?
I thought he did. Correct us in the comments, because we looked pretty. It looked unfamiliar, didn't it? And that was my recollection. I mean, crap game, and we were well beaten, but because of the passing of the torch and or at least establishing some stuff that McKenna then utilised, I thought was positive. And Charlie D, I think, is going to beat you here. Barrow.
But that we always lose to lower league sides in the FA Cup, so that one to me wasn't quite as bad. I think it was so bad because of the scenes at the final whistle as well. Do you remember? We lost 2-0 for those that are struggling to remember. It was I think it was December. It's John McGreal's first game just after Paul Cooker's left. Yeah, I thought it was just after Paul Cooker's has left the club. We lose 2-0. Jaden Stockley and Alex Gilby score the goals. Walton
was it only 2-0?
It should have been about 5.
I remember. Felt like it was a 3 or a 4, wasn't it?
Walton really kept them at bay, and then at full time we have these horrible scenes of NCR challenging the fans, and I think somebody got on the pitch and pushed Walton, if I remember correctly, and it was just a really horrible time. We were 6 months into the season at that point. We have all the optimism from the summer with Evans going, game changer coming in, and the 19 new arrivals. And to me, that just felt like rock bottom last year, because it was back to how it was the year before, 2 years before that, 3 years before that. But like you say, to quote Batman, the night is always darkest before the dawn. And whatever it is, a few days later, McKenna joins. We employ the 3-5-2 system, and we haven't looked back. But for me, that was a really, really dark period of last year. However, the Portman Road game was much better.
Which Batman quote is that from?
It's from The Dark Knight, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, it's the one with Harvey with the guy who's got half a face.
Yeah, Two-Face. And
That's
does
the one. Yeah,
Batman say it?
that's better than half a face.
Just don't pretend that you're not a nerd. I know you're a nerd. And and Harvey Dent says that, not Batman as well. So I've
I'm
out-nerded
sorry.
you there. I was gonna make you do the Batman voice like the Lego Batman, but it's not even Batman who says it. So there you go. Sorry, guys. Keep going, Seb.
Thanks for correcting me there. The Portman Road return game was so much better. It was the last game of the season, the 4-0 win. Tariq Backinson scored with a decent goal, wasn't it? It was like a curler, long ranger from the edge of the box. Wes Burns gets a couple, and obviously Mr. Norwood signs off 24 hours after it's been announced he's leaving the
Assist for
club.
Humphreys.
Lovely through ball, wasn't it? Yeah, took it in his stride first time, Norwood, and rolled it home and celebrates with the North Stand. So a much better kind of return game, and an important one as well, because up until that point we'd had a few dodgy weeks, hadn't we? Once those playoffs were out of reach, I was at Crewe and it was a 1-1 and pretty poor, and Shrewsbury was a 1-1 and again pretty poor. So that 4-0 kind of lifted us and kind of galvanised us a little bit going into the summer. So a much better return, but the game at the Valley was certainly a bit of a shocker.
Yeah. Welcome, Romeo. I'm afraid we started without you, and a little mark has gone against your name in the register, but great to have you with us nevertheless. Kian's back. Hard to forget on the old 352. Cook was obsessed with the 451. Yeah, I mean, all of that stuff this time last year feels so long ago, doesn't it? Such a chalk and cheese kind of situation with the regimes there.
Yeah.
Charlie had forgotten about the NCR thing. FPL, yeah, Walton,
He was
as always sensational. Yeah. So there you go. Danassian forced to play left back.
He was,
and not having a great evening. Yeah, that rings a bell.
The right back and Danassian went left back. Yeah, and we just got torn to pieces.
Talk to us about Ben Garner. We mentioned last time out the defeat to MK Dons, but a bit of a kind of quite a big regime change there. Johnny Jackson was in charge for that 4-0 defeat, and I think a little bit of a surprise that he was sacked so quickly into pre-season, having only really joined them, I think, partway through last season. Ben Garner obviously had relative success at Swindon, although couldn't get them up through the playoffs, and he's taken some players with him as well. But talk to us about him, not maybe a name that's too familiar for Ipswich fans.
No, only 42 years old, so pretty young in terms of managerial pedigree. He's been in charge for 16 games. He was appointed in June, been in charge for the 16 league games, won 5, drawn 7, lost 4, which is 1.38 points per game, which gets you to about 62, 63, I think, across a 46 game season. He's moved around a little bit, and he's worked under quite a few kind of well-known names. He's certainly gone out and kind of cut his teeth, so to speak. He started in the Crystal Palace Youth Academy. He gets promoted there to become a first-team coach under Ian Holloway into sort of 2012 to 2015. He then goes to West Brom, where he's a first-team coach, and then an assistant manager under Tony Pulis. This was the weirdest move.
That's a different style of play to Lennon, isn't it?
Very, yeah. He then goes to India, where he becomes the assistant manager at ATK in the Indian Super League under Steve Coppell. So you've gone from you had Tony Pulis, you've had Steve Coppell, and you've had Ian Holloway. So, all kind of different characters. He then comes back and gets his first kind of proper gig, so to speak, at Bristol Rovers. He takes over in December 2019, the start or halfway through the COVID curtailed season, but he doesn't last a year. He's gone in November 2020. Obviously, they got relegated the second year, the year behind closed doors, and then he replaces a certain Mr. McGreal at John McGreal and Rene Gilmartin, didn't they? Went to Swindon for all of, was it a month? Was it 3 weeks or something?
Like that,
yeah. They resigned. They can't do it. They've only got 7 senior players at the time, and Ben Garner thinks, well, I'll give this a go, and he does really well, doesn't he? They have some new ownership issues, and he brings in Tyree Simpson, who bangs in loads of goals for half a season before we recall him, and he gets Swindon to finish 6th. They lose in the playoffs. They lose to Tuesday night's opponents, Port Vale, on penalties. I think it was 6-5. I think they won the first leg and lost the second leg, or vice versa, and they lost on penalties in the semi-final stage. Obviously, he's then on the radar of the bigger clubs. And Charlton, surprisingly, like you said, Johnny Jackson was a bit of a Charlton kind of legend, wasn't he? Club captain, and seemed to have been there forever and did okay last year. They finished 13th mid-table.
This weird rolling contract for seemingly forever, and then as soon as they gave him the job, the results turned, didn't it?
Yeah, it became rubbish. It was a Jimmy Bullard special. It was amazing when there was no pressure, and as soon as that contract was signed, he became pretty poor. So, yep, he obviously got the gig from Swindon and brought a few players across with him, and yeah, it's kind of a bit of a sort of a transition year for them as they're looking to kind of develop with this younger manager in charge.
But just lurking just outside the playoffs, so you never know. And it did feel like a transition season. I think when we spoke about them in pre-season, that's the kind of expectations that we had for them. Have you mentioned his mentor on his UEFA Pro license course.
And Mr. Jose Mourinho, apparently,
Yeah,
in
there you go.
2014. So he's kind of not worked under Mourinho as such, but he's had advice from Mourinho, Steve Coppell, Tony Pulis, Ian Holloway. He's certainly gone out and cut his teeth under
All the big
some
names.
stalwarts in the game.
He has, and as we mentioned, he kind of there's a little bit of a regime change from extracting people out of Swindon, the Swindon lot slugs. And he brought along Jack Payne, Joe Wallacott, and Mandel Agbo into the Charlton squad as well. We'll talk about how they fit in shortly. But yeah, it's an interesting situation there with Charlton. And this comment from Dylan, evening to Dylan: can Charlton be seen as a big club in League One still? Or have they fallen to a team you'd expect to be down there like Barnsley and Peterborough? I mean, we talked about the stature of Ipswich and Charlton respectively. I think Charlton are a big club at League One level, aren't they? And admittedly, it's probably a little bit of a reset under Ben Garner, but there's a sense of momentum building, or not, Seb? And FPL Tractor, obviously, your insights from, or your Mrs. FPL Tractor, and what the fans think there. It just, I guess it's never really burst into life. They haven't, certainly, we've been the beneficiaries of the takeover from Game Changer and the recruitment of McKenna. And I think they're not really quite there, are they, Seb?
Yeah, I mean, Sandsgaard took over 2 years ago. Was it 2020? I think he took over. We know all the problems there before that with the protests, throwing the balls on the pitch, etc. It was important for them they got out of that kind of situation. And it was kind of described to me that he's certainly not an asset stripper or a malicious kind of owner. He's just a bit incompetent. He sounds similar to Evans, to be honest. He kind of tends to make bad appointments every now and again. I see them as a kind of, as a big club. I don't class them in the same category as I would us, Derby and Sheffield Wednesday. Probably because of maybe the history side of things. I'm not sure, but certainly on that rung below with the likes of Barnsley and other such likes, and even Bradford in the league below. They're kind of sides that in the past have been much further up the pecking order. So I do see them as a big club. I think they probably naturally should be in the Championship, as should we, as should Derby, as should Sheffield Wednesday. They've just got to get that ownership right, because at the moment it's kind of holding them back. But I kind of admire what he's looking to do here. It's a brave decision to go and sack your club captain, legend of a manager, and bring in a relatively unknown guy. I mean, he had
kind of like a Paul Hurst recruitment, isn't it? Kind of, that was admittedly a level lower where the risk is less, but try and find the best coach in the division below. And ironically, Paul Hurst couldn't get Shrewsbury in the playoffs. They were, I think, at Shrewsbury
playoff final. They lost to Rotherham, didn't they? 2-1, I think.
Manager that couldn't get through the playoffs, but highly rated young English manager. And I think, I kind of like what they're trying to do there, but
I do.
I think probably they're a little bit behind the curve of some other teams that you've mentioned. Talk to us about a style of play, Seb.
So the formation, he was very much a 4-3-3 kind of guy at Swindon, but he's had to curb that slightly at Charlton. So it'll either be a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1. It's quite easy in game from the looks of the heat maps and stuff to see how it can just simply kind of flick between the two. It's likely to be Joe Wallacott in goal. He's better with his feet than the first choice goalkeeper, Craig McGivery, according to FPL Tractor. So he's got the nod. He's obviously brought him across from Swindon. He'll be the goalkeeper. Right back should be Mandela Egbo, another one he's brought across from Swindon. Ian O'Connell will be one of the centre backs. They got Ryan Innes sent off. We discussed the red card. He's now serving the first of a 2-match ban. So there's two trains of thought of what he will do to plug that hole. He'll either shift Clare inside from left back to slot into the left-sided centre back position, and then presumably look to bring in Steven Sessegnon, who I assume is one of the many Sessegnon brothers. One's at Fulham, one's
on loan for Fulham,
I think. Yeah, on loan for Fulham. I think there's where the main ones. The one who's amazing on Football Manager. He's at Spurs, isn't he? He's kind of a left wing back, left attacking kind of forward. He's probably going to come in the left back position, or they'll bring in Sam Lavelle, who is an out and out centre back, but is pretty injury prone. Or Terrell Thomas might well come in. He was picked up towards the end of the window from having been released. He might come in and plug that gap. Midfield, George Dobson will be the kind of... Sorry.
Let me have a say on some stuff.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, Innes is a big miss, I think, because not only is he's a physical presence at the back, but he scored a header from a corner, I think, against Portsmouth. So that's a really big miss there. In terms of the wide players, it's no surprise that Egbo, Sessegnon, both pacey wing backs. So the wide players will look to bomb on, won't they? So yeah, a little bit of a headache there for Ghana, which I guess is a positive thing for us. But yeah, Innes from set pieces, and we know to our cost in recent weeks. I'm not. Have they got a long throw specialist, or should I ask FPL Tractor that?
Ask FPL Tractor that one. Yeah, I don't know.
The aerial bombardment, I think you guys talked about on Tuesday, it's going to be a lesser impact within us out of the team. So, yeah, sorry. Let me give you a chance to have a little input as well, because I've watched the game, Seb. I've watched some highlights. So,
Well
talk
done,
to
mate.
me about George Dobson. I like George Dobson.
George Dobson, I like him as well. Yeah, player of the season last year. He'll be the central midfield kind of the sitter and looking to protect those defenders and kind of mop up play and kind of keep things ticking over neat and tidy. And then Mr. Fraser is currently playing the second man in the midfield too. Go on, feel free, wax lyrical about the sliding doors career of Scott Fraser. I didn't think he was that good, to be honest with you. I mean, we played him out of position. He always say he was best on the left of a three-man central midfield, and we kind of played him left wing, number 10 occasionally, and never really got going for him. But he's playing in a midfield too. There, 3 assists so far this season. So he had a bit of a horrible time when he joined. I think he had COVID and did injury issues. We never really got going last season. But looking back to his best this season, so that'll be the kind of the midfield too. Go on, wax lyrical about him if you want to.
Well, I think he's got the joint highest number of key chances created. So I think people have failed to convert his chances that he's created, so his assist number could be higher. He scored a few goals as well, I think.
He's got 3, yeah.
I think he's one of those players who sees things that other players can't. Now, I know that in League One level in particular, that's quite a luxury. Clearly, he's not like the most mobile. He's not a box-to-box midfielder. But in terms of creativity, in terms of positioning, in terms of knowing where to be, in terms of picking a pass, playing across, making an assist, and I won't talk about his penalties. I think he's a classy player. I'm not going to say he's the best player in Charlton's team, and nor will I say he was the best signing that we made last season. Sometimes it's just about fit, and I think he's a good player. He's well rated at MK. We forget, he just raked in the assists for MK.
His numbers were brilliant when we signed him. Yeah, I thought we'd literally solved all of our creative issues in one signing.
I think, and I think the failure of that signing was more down to us. We splurged a lot of money, brought a lot of players in, and I was quite unpopular at the time saying sometimes I think we just signed players because we could, rather than having a plan for them and knowing where they wanted to be. And I think Fraser, like Louis Barry as well, I think Louis Barry's a different case, but I think Scott Fraser's a classy midfielder, and I think he gets in the midfield in most teams in League One. I'm not saying he's a championship player, but anyway, I like him. Continue.
We were so preoccupied to think if we could, we didn't stop and think if we should. Name the film. Name the film. Know. Jurassic Park. There you go. You've had Batman and Jurassic Park tonight.
Oh, do the Jeff Goldblum voice.
What, topless? In a weird open button. Open button. Black shirt.
Move on. Talk to me about Rak-Saki, who I like.
Yeah, Rak-Saki on loan from Crystal Palace, which is surprising because aren't they big rivals? I know they're in different divisions, they're kind of living apart, but both kind of South London sides. I presume there was a pretty and they're Papa Soares last year. I think the left back on either on loan or signed from Palace, so maybe it's a friendly kind of rivalry. He'll be the right wing option. I like him, direct, pacey, and then like I was saying earlier, they can flip from a 4-4-2 to a 4-2-3-1 because he simply pushes slightly kind of higher up the pitch. They've had what's he called? Corey Taylor-Blackett's Blackett Taylor, has missed the last 2 with a muscle abductor injury, but apparently, according to Garner today, he's back. I presume he'll come straight back in on the left-hand side. And then the attacking options is Charlie Kirk. Now, he's a strange one. He was really highly rated at Crewe, wasn't he? He got the move to Charlton, and they sent him up to Blackpool in the Championship last year. So I kind of thought, they'll naturally kind of, take him on loan with a view to buy him. But it didn't work out for him there. He's back down at Charlton this year. And they've got issues in the other kind of striking position. Miles Lieburn, son of Charlton legend Carl, is injured. He's done his ligaments, so I think he's out for a little while. They had the weird Macaulay Bond saga, didn't they, at the end of the deadline? So they were clearly trying to get a striker in. I don't know if that was a loan or a permanent, or if it was meant to be a loan and they wanted a permanent, but it all fell through kind of very, very last minute. So they are kind of not overly blessed with options up front. So it's likely that club captain Jayden Stockley will be the kind of the upfront option. He scored. Yeah, you can still find him. He scored against us last year. Kind of a classic target man mould, according to FPL Tractor. And they've also got Chucks Aniki as well, who is an option, but apparently he's quite slow these days. And, he's not really up to it anymore. So likely to be Charlie Kirk, who will drop off. He will drift out wide left, looking from his heat map and look to link up play with Blackett Taylor on the left-hand side. And Stockley will be the focal point, the kind of one that Edmondson and Wolfenden might have their hands full dealing with. He'll look to kind of hold the ball up, bring others into play, and use his strength to really kind of, make it stick up front.
Any other names you want to mention?
No.
In those options? Are you sure?
Yeah, you've got the amazingly named. I love this. This is brilliant. You've got the amazingly named Tyrese Anthony Tupac Shakur Campbell. That's brilliant. That's phenomenal. He played left wing the other night. He's a forward. He played left wing the other night. But what a phenomenal, brilliant name that is. I was going to get this script full of Tupac quotes, the safe ones, obviously. But I kind of figured it'd be wasted on you. We were very different when we were at school. You were kind of Muse and guitars and Ozzy Osbourne and goth stuff, and I was trying to be like I was from the west side of LA or whatever. So I
Drive
didn't
around the
think
D's with your subwoofer, yeah.
that's the one. Yeah, I thought it would go way over your head, so I left them all out.
The only thing I'm trying to get a pun on Thug's Mansion, but I can't. That's the only Tupac song that I know that, or at least is vaguely
That's
family
the
friendly.
only one you know.
Well, there's family friendly. That's safe for
Okay,
work.
yeah, fair enough. Okay,
So yeah, let's move it on. If anyone's got any, get your Tupac songs in the chat.
safe ones, please.
Safe. I'll only put the ones that are safe up on the screen. In terms of we talked about the kind of style of play that Ben Garner wants. I mean, possession wise, is pretty decent, and pass accuracy pretty decent as well. Do you want any key stats you want to draw to our attention?
Yeah, very good. So 55.8% possession overall, which is the fourth best in the league. That's slightly lower when they play at the Valley, down to 56.5%. So yeah, they are kind of possession, masters. They got the best passing accuracy in the league as well, 80.2% overall and 82.7% at home. So they keep the ball and they like to, they're pretty accurate when they work it around the pitch. 11.8 shots per game, which is 16th. That's not great at all. A bit higher at home at the Valley with 13.5, but even that is only 13th. So not amazing for kind of for shots. 4.2 of those shots are on target per game, so again not great. Slightly higher at the Valley, 5.5, but again not that amazing. 17 of their goals have come from open play, 2 from set pieces, 2 from counters. They do look to hit sides on the break.
I have to stop you there. Like most of their goals come from open play, everyone, just in case you didn't notice that bit.
Well, no, but if you're looking at a Wickham, for example, it's a trend, isn't it, that you can see a natural increase of. You're on one tonight, aren't you?
I'm just mischievous tonight. It's because I didn't only watch the highlights. I didn't do my usual nerdy analysis. So
okay.
Yeah, let's pull out some outlying stats though.
The other outlying one is they are second in the league for short passing at home with 427. Now this is massively inflated from Tuesday night, where bizarrely I have to double check this, and I think it is right. They had 677 passes on Tuesday night against MK, which seems mental.
Yeah,
I checked it on 2 different sites, and it was accurate on both.
They muck about at the back.
Maybe, yeah, potentially.
Lambert
maybe
ball.
We averaged 399 passes away from home, to give you an idea of a bit of an outlier kind of. So it's going to be 2 sides that like to keep the ball and are very accurate with the passing when they do it.
One stat that I did find in my very brief bit of research, they are third on average dribbles per game, 7 per game on average dribbles. So those wide positions, as I mentioned, that's where the threat will come from. And yeah, 17 Raksaki is the one. Is the one to watch out for. We've got more. So Mullet's got changes. Will there be changes? So we'll talk about us in a second. Mark hasn't even bothered.
That's a Tupac reference, Yeah.
Mark's got California Love. Is that just Tupac, or is that?
No,
I thought that was a collab, wasn't it?
It's Dr. Dre, isn't it? Yeah, with featuring Tupac, I think is the term.
See, no, I'm not.
I was going to put troublesome when I was talking about the NCR incident after the Charlton game last year. I was going to say that was troublesome. That was in there when they lost to Charlton. When they lost to MK midweek. I was going to say life goes on. There's so many you can choose from, but they would have all been wasted on you.
There you go,
I
kids.
need to know my audience.
Here's Craig. Not much Tupac on Popmaster. There you go. You guys are on your own. Yeah. Feels like a missed opportunity. Maybe Popmaster in 10 years' time. That's where it will evolve to. Let's finally talk about us. The new Wordsworth. They're like the poets of our generation. Jules mentioned it at the top. Morsey is your first choice midfielder. Who's alongside him?
For me, Dominic Ball. I know it's harsh on Humphreys, goal and assist on Tuesday night, but it's going to be a tough game down at the Valley. And for me, it needs to be Ball and Morsey in the middle. And I guess Kamara, he won't feature on the bench tomorrow, so Humphrey will get the central midfield.
Jules gets comments of the night. I have to read it out for listening. I'm in my 50s. I dribble more than Charlton. There you go, Jules. Thanks for that. That's a quality contribution.
For me, Humphreys will drop down to the bench. It's harsh, but what a great option to bring off the bench if needed. And it'll be Ball and Morsey in the centre tomorrow. I bet my house on it.
I'll clip that one up for later on. Who's playing up front?
Well, Mikey asked me this on Wednesday night, and we always try and predict, and we normally always get it completely wrong. I'd like to see Edwards retain his place somewhere in the
Mhm.
side. He was a real bright spark, wasn't he, on Tuesday night? But he's done the pre-match presser today, hasn't he? So what have we got a correlation yet? Do we know that the person put forward for media duties plays or is dropped? There must be enough.
So
We must have got a spreadsheet on it.
I got in trouble in the Telegram group so Richard Keogh did it before Derby, I think, and me and Dan Connor, I don't know if Dan is on the, he was at Port Vale, wasn't he? Is in the chat,
Yep.
and he said that everyone who's done the pre-match presser has generally been in the team. So Keogh was the first one, I think, that wasn't. He was the exception. So I don't think you can draw many conclusions from it. Is the short answer, Seb.
So being an away day, I think it might be Edwards, Tyrese John-Jules, and Caden Jackson. That's what I'm going to go for. It's harsh on Ladapo, obviously 2 goals in midweek, but you wouldn't be surprised being in a away game. You know, McKenna might look to kind of stretch the play. If they're used to keeping the ball, he'll want to kind of draw them in and use the likes of Edwards and Jackson's pace to kind of hit them on the counter. So I wouldn't be surprised if those 3 start. What do you think he'll do with it? Do you think Ladapo will retain his place after his midweek showing?
Yeah, I do. I think McKenna, and I need to big up the Telegram group. If you're not a member of it, do join us, particularly given the takeover of Twitter has finally happened from you know who. So if you're looking for an escape from the crazy world that is Twitter, then the Telegram group is fantastic for our discussions, our match day chat, and first 2 weeks is free on us. So do get involved in that. And we talked about McKenna waiting for an opportunity to make a number 9 or the number 9 a regular starter. No one has given him the opportunity to do that yet because the form has been inconsistent. And I think Ladapo's 2 goals, I was quite outspoken about his sub cameo against Derby. I didn't think he had done particularly well, but everyone corrected me and everyone was looking for different things than maybe I was. And I thought his 2 goals suggested a situational awareness that means I would start him. I really would. And I'd have Harness in there. I thought Harness worked hard on Tuesday night, and I would also play Edwards as well. So there's my prediction for you. Harness, Edwards, Ladapo.
I think I'd rather he starts Ladapo. I like it when Ladapo leads the line. For me, Jackson has a lot of qualities, but maybe not necessarily through the middle. I guess if he plays, maybe it'll be Tyrese John-Jules to the middle in my lineup of Edwards, John-Jules, and Jackson. Maybe Jackson will be out wide to maybe keep Raksaki pushed back potentially, but. We'll find out at 2 p.m. tomorrow. As always, I'm sure McKenna will spring a surprise or two. Vincent Young's back as well, isn't he? So I guess he might go back onto the bench. And we've just still got the longer term ones of Greg Lee and Sonny Aluko, I guess, still out.
Let us know in the chat.
Oh, and Hadme as well.
Hadme's close, and Lee was doing stuff for the foundation this week as well. So hopefully he's close as well. Arguably, Leif Davis is Leif Davis Player of the Month for October? ?
Great shout, to be fair. Yeah, great shout. Put it in the comments. I think he's really grown into that role. I do worry if we were to lose him for an injury. I presume he'll get a break against the likes of Bracknell, and hopefully get in the Pizza Cup. He can bring in, Humphreys can play there if need be, or he can look to bring somebody in. Albie Armin, I think, is a left back, isn't he? He could maybe look to kind of slot in there and just give Davis a bit of a breather, because he's kind of been relentless, and he's so fit getting up and down the touch lines, isn't he? He's such a great player. You can see it's money well spent. We're going to recoup that money, many times over if he eventually has to depart us.
Good old chat. Thank you, guys. Mark bet Lee still had a brace on doing his foundation, as does you guys have the attention. I just saw the images. I didn't even watch the video, and that's the kind of attention to detail that puts you in the host chair for the Blue Monday podcast pre-match show. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on who starts. We mentioned it, as we said, Jules' question right at the top. Who do you have alongside Morsey? If it is Morsey, if anyone's playing continuing with Ball and Humphreys, let us know. Who's your front 3 as well? Keen to get those. And obviously predictions, which is where we're going to shortly as well. Want to hear your score predictions. In terms of bits and pieces of admin, we've mentioned Telegram. We've mentioned the live show. Do come and join us for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of cool stuff that we're trying to keep under wraps rather than reveal too much. But we might start teasing a few bits and pieces. If you've made it this far and you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and a subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you to Stephen on Facebook who've given a thumbs up over there. Appreciate that. The Flagship show is back on Sunday, and I think we've got 3 guys actually at the game. I think I believe Craig is in the host chair. Maybe Craig versus Mikey. They'll do paper, scissors, stone, Bullard and Keith Andrew Stiley to figure out who hosts. And I think Joe is joining them in the third chair. So join them live on Sunday night, 8 p.m. to talk through Charlton. And anything else, Seb? And obviously, it's not a home match this week. But if you are in the Ipswich area and you are looking for a great place for a relaxing pint or a lovely glass of wine and some lovely food and surroundings, do head down to the Greyhound, our partners for the pre-match show. Fantastic place to go on a match day and a non-match day. And we're very excited to head back there for Cheltenham, actually. When's the next home game, Seb? Is it Cheltenham?
No. It is, because we're away at Bracknell, aren't we, in the FA Cup next Monday night. So just a caveat as well, there will be very little research done on Bracknell for whatever the pre-match show looks like last week, because I did look on the websites and look at they do exist, they are on there, but as soon as you click on the name, everything disappears. So you might have to give us a bit of a break with that one. But yeah, that's the next. Cheltenham is the next home game, the next victory, and then obviously the live show afterwards in the Bobby Robson suite.
Oh, Stein, pressure and merch and all that kind of stuff. Blue Monday, ITFC.co.uk. There you go. Seb is, for those of you who are watching, Seb is pointing to the shirts behind him. So let's do some predictions, Seb. And we knew that it would backfire involving Telegram members. It was just setting us up to look really stupid. And lo and behold, Matt Makin turns out to be a low-key predictions genius. Here are the scores from for a couple of weeks back now, isn't it? Is this right? No, I've got the wrong weekend, haven't I? Yeah. What have I done there? I've screwed up.
I don't know what you've done. We didn't do it last week for the Derby game. Me and Ben didn't do it last week.
We didn't do it for Derby because
we missed that one off. Yeah,
few. So we're a few weeks back.
Yeah,
but lots of red here. Not a particularly vintage weekend for anyone. But 2 correct scores for Matt is enough for the win, and enough to keep him retained as the representative on behalf of Telegram. So Matt wins the week by 3 points. Seb, that's an embarrassment, isn't it? So,
I'm used to it, I'll be honest, mate. At this point.
Yeah, good point. It's embarrassment for me. I feel like I've let everyone down. No, well done, Matt. Brilliant stuff. And Matt gets to what should we list? Matt's done us a little video with this prediction. Should we let Matt go first, Seb?
Go for it.
Let's hear from Matt.
So, first fixture, Barnsley, Forest Green Rovers. I'm predicting a 1-1 draw. Neither team's in great form. Bolton, Oxford. I think that's going to be a 3-1 home win for Bolton. They're scoring a lot of goals at the moment. Oxford's form generally quite poor. The big one for us, Charlton v Ipswich. I'm going to go big. I'm going to say that Ipswich are going to win it 3-1. I think Sammy Morty back in the middle of the field would be grand. There was some, despite sort of obviously having a little bit of an issue, sort of going back to 2-2 from 2-0. I think we've got enough. We've got goals there. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet because I think we are a little bit frail at the back. And really, though, it is all dependent on which Charlton turns up. Cheltenham, Milton Keynes, I've gone for 0-0. Derby, Bristol Rovers. I think that's going to be a 2-1 win for Bristol. They've had some good results lately against big teams. I think they can frustrate Derby, and I think they could nick a win. Fleetwood Accrington, I'm going 0-0 as well. Peterborough, Cambridge, I think that's going to be a 2-0 win for Peterborough. Should be fairly comfortable for Peterborough. I don't think Cambridge will cause them many concerns. Port Vale, Lincoln, obviously 2 teams we've played recently, both have impressed me. I think they might cancel each other out. I'm going for a scoring 2-2 draw. Portsmouth with Shrewsbury, I think that's going to be a 1-0 win for Pompey. I don't think they're going to score many goals, but I think they'll edge it. Sheffield Wednesday v Burton. I think Wednesday have actually been frustrating in the last couple of games, dropping points, which has been great for us. But I think at home they'll be looking to bounce back, and I think Burton probably not going to be playing them at a good time when they're going to be out to score a few goals. Wickham Wanderers, Morecambe. I'm going for 1-0 to Wickham, and then the final one, which is probably one of the tastiest fixtures. Coming up in this set, Plymouth Exeter. Having been back down there recently for Plymouth away, I'd forgotten just how much those two hate each other, and they've not been in the same division for a couple of seasons, so I think that's going to be a hotly contested one, and I think Argyle are just going to have the quality to edge it, and so I'm going with 3-2 to Plymouth. Right, fingers crossed, and back to you, Rich.
Professional. Hand it back to me. Love that. Let's put the scores up on the screen here and have a look at what Matt was going for there. We both fancy Barnsley against Forest Green. It was an interesting one that he's not backing Barnsley at home.
They've
there,
lost the
but
last two, to be fair, haven't they? They're not in great form. I think they'll turn it around, and Norwood will probably get a goal. I think they'll win that one.
no surprises. They're all backing Bolton. Oxford are weird, aren't they?
They're just not going to get going, I don't think, this season. To be honest, they're down there with the likes of MK and even Wickham to a certain degree. They kind of have little fits and starts here and there, but they can't get any kind of consistency together.
We'll come back to Charlton Ipswich. Charlton MK is a game it's another one of these random fixtures where there's a lot of meh games in there. So we'll skip through these at a pace, but I'm going for a draw there. I think MK probably,
I think MK might sneak it. Now they've got Isa back. They've got a few more options, in the final third, and they'll be buoyant after Tuesday night, won't they? So I think they'll sneak that one.
We've made the mistake. Well, I've made the mistake of backing Bristol Rovers. I'm not doing that at home away to Derby.
Did you see Joey Barton shared his tactics board? Did you see that?
Well, I saw. Did he share it or did someone leak it? Or
okay, right. I saw the article on the BBC.
It wasn't particularly incisive.
It wasn't inspiring, was it? No, I thought that. It seemed pretty common sense. It was like start well, press high,
maintain momentum, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, not particularly exciting there. Fleetwood, Accrington again, meh. A lot of you guys have gone 0-0s. I just think Fleetwood have got home advantage. Peterborough, Cambridge, a little bit of a local derby, is it? We're all going Peterborough. I'd love a 3-2 there. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Are we down on Cambridge at the moment? I'm not too sure. Is it more about Peterborough?
They won the last one before. I think they lost 4 on the bounce, didn't they? They sort of were kind of 5th when our game was postponed with them, and they've kind of just dropped right off it. Lovely goal by Lancaster. I think it was either last weekend or on Tuesday night midweek. One of them, he scored a really nice goal. But I guess that is a derby. But Peterborough for me, we'll see that one pretty come. What did I go? 3-1, wasn't it? Yeah, 3-1.
Yeah, we both went
with the firepower they've got, they'll win that quite comfortably.
Port Vale, Lincoln again, struggling to get excited about that. I think Port Vale, having seen that stupid pitch.
Let it go.
I'm giving them the home advantage over Lincoln. You're going for my trident. There's a lot more 1-1s featuring in your predictions.
Oh, is there? Oh, that's weird. What a strange coincidence.
Evil. Portsmouth, Shrewsbury. We're all going for home wins there. No particular surprises. Same for Sheffield Wednesday, Burton. But are you a little bit worried about Darren Moore? Booze at full time midweek. I don't know whether that was for the ref or for something else, but
we said it on the 1-12. It's two draws on the bounce, isn't it? We said it in the 1-24 with Gab at the start of the season. I did say I think if they start slowly with the owner they've got and the fan base they've got, if they turn on him, I wouldn't have been surprised if he was one of the first ones to go. He needs to kind of keep pace with us in Plymouth, because if they drop too far off it, and we saw the crowd at Hillsborough that time, they're very vociferous and they're very loud, and they will make their feelings well known. And if he's got a lot of pressure there. He's been backed heavily in the window. He needs to make sure he's keeping pace, at least with us, to take advantage when we slip up or Plymouth slip up. And he's building a little bit of pressure there for himself. The trouble is they are so reliant on Bannon, aren't they? If Bannon has an off night or, just isn't fully at it, if the rest of the teammates aren't on the same wavelength, they kind of really struggle. I think it's a bit worrying to be so dependent on one person.
We've gone Wickham around a 1-0 there. No surprises there. Probably more an indictment of Morecambe, and then we're all backing wins for Plymouth over Exeter. You guys are expecting 3 goals there. Do we need to talk about Plymouth? Are they massively overperforming their XG and goals? Just don't really correlate, do they?
You're better at this stuff than I am with regards to XG and stuff, but all the data would suggest that this isn't sustainable. Is that correct?
It kind of feels like, so when we were, remember at the start of the 2017-18 season, we started the season really well, didn't we?
Was that when we scored with like every shot we had on target?
So our XG was pretty low, but our goal score was really high. And eventually that caught up with us. Now, Plymouth have got quality players and have clearly found a way of playing that wins matches. But a lot of their goals scored are from around and just outside the 18-yard box. And you kind of get the sense that at some point, XG would class as low quality chances because you're a long way from goal. If they've got players who know how to score from range, and if teams are going to drop off them and not press them around the 18-yard box, then they'll just be picked off, won't they? So maybe Plymouth have found a model that works. I guess as Ipswich fans, and the rest of League One, you've got to hope that the goals from range are going to dry up at some point, and then will they be able to create other chances to continue to win matches? It's the big question mark. We'll see if they can sustain it, but we're all going for a home win there. No surprises. And then controversially, I think it's a round of controversial predictions. I guess I shouldn't critique Matt's too much. And do get your predictions in for Ipswich Charlton. That's where we're coming to next. He's gone for a 3-1 away win. I can't see us scoring 3, but I'd love to be wrong. But we're both going for draws. Explain yourself, Seb.
Well, I asked you in the green room if I could change it. I was torn on this all day between head versus heart. My heart kind of thought a cheeky little 1-0 victory, get back to restricting them on chances and kind of, looking to nullify any kind of threat. Hopefully we've improved a little bit from set pieces and just, sneak a 1-0 win and head out of South London with the points in our pockets. But the more I thought about it, I don't know why, I've got this nagging doubt about this game. If they hadn't lost to MK in midweek, I probably would have taken a point before kickoff, but they are slightly more vulnerable now. I just think a 1-1 is logical. You've got two teams that really like to keep the ball, that pass it around a lot, that are very accurate with their passing, and I just wonder if that might kind of lead to them sort of cancelling each other out, and it might not be a game of that many chances. We know they don't have that many shots on target. I just think that we might kind of cancel it out a little bit, and I'm going for the 1-1, I think.
You sticking with it?
Yeah, you said I couldn't change my mind. So
I did say that.
But if it's a tie next week and that is the definitive scoreline, that means I lose. I should be allowed to reinstate my 1.
Of course. Let's just change the rules. Just to,
you did literally every week last year.
Yeah, well, that's bollocks, isn't it? Though. So, I think I do subscribe to some of the thoughts that we've had earlier in the game that Tuesday took a lot out of us. I think Charlton at home, good record, defeat to MK might be a bad thing for us rather than a good thing. It'd be great if, Charlton's form drops off because of that MK defeat and we can take advantage, but I would expect them to want to bounce back. And I think MK was more of an outlier than anything else. I would happily take a point on the back of 2 previous wins.
Well, exactly. We've done the hard work, haven't we? We maintained the 2 points per game, like Ben said on the live show last week. Maintain 2 points per game, and you'll be fine. And we've done that already with the Derby and the Port Vale win. So, in some ways, anything we get tomorrow is a bonus. And
because I always, as we always say, the Jonah Hill to your Channing Tatum. There's a third movie reference. We've gone to some places.
Decent pop culture tonight.
We've been all over the place tonight. Let's see what the folks say in the chat. We've got a 1-1, a late goal for Town. Michael's going for some drama. Chris is backing Matt's prediction for a 3-1 away win. Love to see that. Jules wants a 2-1. His mullet, as always, 4-0.
Default answer.
Hat trick, and
we're going up by 10 points, whatever he always says.
Davis not having that. Davis to score would be great. I think Davis deserves a goal to round
closer,
out his
October. He is getting closer.
Eric Clacton's gone for a 2-1 defeat, but there's no incorrect predictions at this point until the game.
Until my answers get shown next week, yeah.
Until Seb's put up. Gary's backing me with. He's backing me. Ladapo Chappers. Chaplin. We haven't mentioned him. Seb,
do you expect him to be on the bench? Yeah, he's been quiet. Morecambe away, I was there, and he didn't have a great first half, and he missed the penalty, and I think he drop out for the next game on the bench. Was it Lincoln? I can't remember. I think he was on the bench, maybe not. But he's not been firing. He just needs a goal, doesn't he? He'll score a goal at some point. It'll be absolutely fine. I'm not overly worried about it. He was so good, wasn't he? In September, was it? He got the Player of the Month and got the 2 goals at Accrington and the goal against Bristol Rovers, I think it was. And yeah, he was brilliant in September. It was always going to be difficult to maintain those standards. He just needs a goal and he'll be absolutely fine. I've got no real long-term worries about it.
Agreed. Mark's going for a 2-1. Big Fred goal machine up and running. And Sully, this feels like a good place to end. 3-0, easy peasy. We shall see next week how we got on. So final stretch here. If you want to shout out, if you want to give us a lineup prediction or another score prediction, if you haven't got it in so far, now is your opportunity. As we mentioned before, we're brought to you in partnership with our friends at the Greyhound. Blue Monday, ITFC.co.uk for merch, for Telegram, for live event tickets, for links to our YouTube and our podcast feeds. If you are listening, if you're on the coach, the train, the car, the bus, the bike, on foot, listening as you go to the ground tomorrow, let us know. We love hearing from folk who are traveling around listening to the pod on a match day. Send us a photo, get involved in the Telegram match day chat as well. That's always good fun. And join us on Sunday at 8 p.m. for the Flagship show with Craig and the guys talking about it. And do, as always, thumbs up, subscribe, 5-star reviews, all that cool stuff. And we do appreciate your support. So thank you, everyone who's joined us tonight, and for your comments. Always appreciate the pre-match chat. Let's just have some quick scroll through the comments before we go. What have we got here? A lot of stuff chat about. Oh, interesting. Have you noticed that Edmondson seems to get stuck in the corner and that's to clear across? Very specific point, Michael. I can't say I've noticed that.
I haven't. No, I
we
can't.
like to play out rather than hoof it down the line, though.
Yeah.
Interesting thought from FPL Track to Cambridge have been bad since
Great point.
now. Ooh.
Yeah, they have, haven't they? Yeah, everyone was a bit surprised, I think, when Taylor went there instead from Exeter. But yeah, that's a very valid point. They have. I guess they were overachieving. They weren't. Let's be honest. When they were fifth coming to Portman Road and the weekend that the Queen passed away, we knew they wouldn't stay up there for the rest of the year. But they have kind of dropped off a little bit.
Mark Beck, Player of the Year, Harper with a man of the match performance against Plymouth. Hopefully that will be good. Agent Harper. I don't think when Craig isn't on the show, Mark, you don't need to stick the Player of the Year thing in there. We don't subscribe to that nonsense that Craig has basically painted himself into a corner, and I hope he's still listening to that. A lot of chat about Barry Bannon, interestingly. Jules wants Bannon to get injured, then they're knackered. Yeah,
we'd never wish ill on anybody, but no, we do not. That would be great.
I think he's not wishing injury. If it's a hypothetical, we've had Sheffield Wednesday fans here before, so I'm sure they would say different to that. Marks, I'd say you wouldn't be unhappy with a point against Charlton, considering their form, but we have the quality to win. I think that's fair. Fully rested Morsey will make a huge difference. Agree with that. Bluey wants a Morsey screamer, and he wants a 3-1. I think we can all get on board with that. Fingers crossed. FPL Tractor, someone on this sofa, unnamed, 1-0 to the mighty Charlton. FPL Tractor, thank you, and thank you to your other half for all your insights that powered our pre-match tonight. We really appreciate it. I owe you a beer
in the Greyhound next time you're there.
We do owe you a beer. Thanks to Charlie for joining us. Michael's still boasting about the weather, 28 degrees. Love that. Andrew, thank you for joining us. Craig is still here. See everyone Sunday evening. If not at the game, do say hi to the folks from Team Blue Monday if you see us there. FPO Tractor. David's off to the Greyhound when he comes to Ipswich. Love that.
We definitely owe you a pint as well, David.
Or two. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. Cheers, Jules. Cheers, Mike. There you go, Stephen. Lineker-esque Ladapo. Go Freddie. That's what we want. Seb, as always, I would say thank you to you, mate. Thank you for all of your quotes, film quotes, the imagery of Jeff Goldblum topless. Bring on the live show, says Sully. Thank you as always for your hard work. I'll let you sign off.
Have a great time tomorrow. 3,000 fans or so go in there. It's been a crazy month of fixtures. Let's end it with 6 victories, which is phenomenal at the start of it. And as always, come on, you Blues.